Hello everyone and welcome back to the Alpha Live podcast. It's episode 2? I'm not sure whether or not we call it episode 2. The first episode was a pilot episode. We'll go with episode 2. Why not? Henry Burnett, you joined me once again. We're back. How are you today, sir?
Yes. Oh, I'm very well. Living the life fantastic here in South Wales Riviera, as always. I think this episode we've got to call it shifting gears because it's
shifting
very
gears?
shifting gears.
I like that.
Gears plural. Yeah,
Plural.
I think we should do that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, because
shifting
I think
gears.
that, as you will explain to the viewers and listeners,
Yes.
that we're obviously all forms of karting will be discussed, but certainly the bits of where you have to shift gears go up 5 and down 1. That one.
Well, I'm glad if anyone who's listening to the audio version of this, you didn't see the hand gestures that Henry just did. If you're on the YouTube version,
no.
I can only apologise. There we go. But yes, you are right in saying we are going to be talking to a lot of drivers in terms of the gear shifting side of things. We've got Caden McQueen who's joining us. He'll be kickstarting his career in KZ2 in the 2022 British Champs season. We'll be doing a short segment about the British Champs as well, because that'll be kickstarting this weekend as well, so make sure you tune for that one. Yes, indeed. The news, of course, we'll be back with the news as well, and we'll be joined by Division 1 Superkart driver Rob Stubbs, and he's all about his karting as well, but in the gearbox side of things as well, and he's got his YouTube channel, which he's got lots of content on there, and you can visit that at Rob Stubbs on YouTube, and he's got lots of cool content on there. So I think we've got a pretty wicked episode up ahead, Henry.
We have got a very high speed episode. Yes, because obviously it takes a lot of guts to drive any sort of race kart at high speed. But those Division 1 superkarts, and indeed the KZ2s, you need to walk around with a wheelbarrow to put certain parts of your physique in them, because you need large of those to do gearbox karting very successfully. I think we got away with that one. Okay, but yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Just about, I think we'll do that. But yeah, plenty of stuff coming up. Make sure you stay tuned. Well, we'll move on to our first topic of the podcast today then. We've got Caden McQueen, KZ2 driver for 2022 in the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. Caden, how are we today, sir?
Yeah, good, thank you. Be better if it was sunny.
What do you mean it's not sunny? We're at the same place. We're both at Wilton Mill. I was outside a second ago and it's lovely and warm. Stop complaining, Caden. Stop complaining. What can I do with you?
Used to hot weather, I guess.
Henry joins us again for this one. Caden, you've got quite a busy year up ahead, of course. KZ2, a new venture for you. You've done lots of testing. Do you think you're ready for the season this year in KZ?
Yeah, for sure. We've had a couple of days testing. They've been really good. I was here at Wilton the other day just getting in some time on a new engine, which seems fairly strong at the moment. So we're heading in the right direction. We obviously had our first race at Shennington a few weeks ago and managed to win. Then we're back there in 2 weeks' time for the first round of the British.
Yeah, Henry, you come in with this one, but it's KZ2. We were talking about it. We'll be speaking to some Superkart drivers a little bit later on today in the show as well. You know, KZ Superkarts, they've got a fundamental similarities, but they're completely different in a way as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, KZ is one of my favourite classes, and it's the class this year, I've got to say, I'm looking forward to seeing most. Not obviously just because as Caden is in it, but because Caden's one of a number of drivers that we're used to seeing in direct drive classes that are moving across. And finally, we're starting to see that migration is when top level drivers in senior X30 and senior Rotax, they decide instead of either stopping or instead of trying to go into cars or something like that, they think, oh no, there's more bang for your buck in karting. We're going to move to KZ2 and stay in the British Championship. You've got the likes of Bradley Barrett, Charlie Turner, Tom Adams is coming over, Oakley Pryor, and Caden as well. So it breathes not new life into the class, but it keeps, you know that the next 3 or 4 years are going to be very strong in the class, because you've got now contenders looking at in Rotax next year, you're looking at what Caden and what Charlie and what Bradley are doing and thinking, right, okay, I want a bit of this. And it's going to get more attention for the class. The grid's going to be bigger. So I'm really, really looking forward to KZ2 this year. Superb racing in store.
Was there a question in there for Caden at all?
No, there wasn't. That was just a statement. That was my
That was just
opening
your own
monologue.
statement.
My question now, Mr. Jordan, is I'd like to ask, my good friend and esteemed colleague Caden McQueen, talk about the theory behind it, the decision making behind it, because we've seen you win in senior X30, top 10 in the championship. We've seen you do well in Rotax. Obviously, you're tied with Crop Promotions, and you do an awful lot of work with them. So the decision to go into KZ2. That was my question, by the way, Anthony. There we go.
Thanks for making that clear. So for me, to do KZ this year, it was something a lot different. It's a new challenge. Like you said, we've been at the front in everything else we've raced in, so we thought we'd take on a new challenge. It's been in talks for a while between me and my dad. So we thought, we'll see what the team think. And there's not many crop karts over here in KZ, so we had a little chat with the factory, with the team here as well, to see if we can do some sort of promotion work to get some more karts over here, which so far so good. We've got a couple of drivers that have bought a kart, a couple of others that are thinking about joining. So for us as a team with Croc, it's more of a step forward to expanding our brand.
Yeah, nice. I mean, that's a good push as well, because Croc Promotions is a very successful team in the UK and abroad as well. So definitely trying to push it in multiple classes, I think, is the best way forward for the team. And seeing that this year with yourself going into KZ2 again will be absolutely fantastic. Now, Caden, you've been. Well, I'd say you've had a pretty electric career. You've been on fire for the most of, like last year. But speaking of fires, of course, I want to cast your mind back a little bit, Caden, to around, I think it was 2017 or 18. I'm not quite too sure. What happened at Rowra and involving some fire extinguishers and yourself? What happened there, Caden? Apparently, a little bird told me that you set off every single fire extinguisher.
Left through the window.
That you set off every single fire extinguisher at Rowra. What happened there?
I was just watching, nothing
you
to
were
do
watching?
with me.
No, you didn't do it yourself?
No. I just stood there and was making sure they were doing it correctly, So,
right.
As you said, I've been on fire recently, so I've had some fire extinguishers set off at me. So I was just making sure they set them off correctly, just in case there was a fire throughout the weekend and they needed to support that driver that may have been on fire.
Them.
So,
you were testing them.
Superb service to karting. A superb service to karting.
I should definitely think so. Yeah, I think didn't Mr. Dan have to kind of rectify that issue for you a little bit, didn't he?
I'm not going to speak too much in that. I was very much told.
Brilliant.
Just quickly going back to karting.
Yeah.
Just a question. Obviously. How many years now have you been with Croc, Caden?
Do you know what? I think this is now my 5th or 6th year with them.
Yeah, because you did Formula Kart Stars in Cadet, and I remember you were at Silverstone for the relaunch of that when you were in Cadet. But then once that finished in Mini X30, you've been straight on that kart virtually ever since, haven't you?
Yeah,
and sometimes it has been a bit of a struggle, because you've had to build the brand. You've had to build the brand. Obviously you've got a great workshop now at Wilton, but it has, and you've got the, if you move your shirt, you guys obviously Gabriel Silk won the Junior X30 World International Final last year on that. But I mean, it hasn't always been, a bed of roses, has it? And that's a lot of that has fallen on your shoulders, which not many people realise how much work you've had to do and how many times you've gone out with a kart that doesn't work and have had to try and make it work. And as a young driver, that's what goes on behind the scenes. Not a lot of people see that, which I think is a great credit to you.
Yeah, I mean, when I first joined Croc, there was only one driver besides me. So that was Jack Deacon at the time. He's not karting anymore. However, there was only him and me in the team. Now, to go up against teams such as Fusion or KR Sport or Strawberry and other teams like that have been using the OTK product for many years, to come across, them in a race situation or even practicing it was very challenging, because they always had more of an understanding of their brand and their chassis. So we've done a lot of work over the years to help the kart You know, a lot of stuff that's been changed to ensure that the kart is, you know, good enough to win races, and we've proved that over the years. That, well, now we've won the Miami World Championships, which is a big deal, especially when, you know, we're up against all them teams again. But behind the scenes, you know, it's been really hard. It's day in, day out work. The guys back here at the workshop, they do an amazing job. All the karts are always prepped. You know, they go through every single little thing to see what they can do to help improve. Obviously, I give the feedback as well on the track to see if that's helped or if it hasn't, and they write it down and go back to the workshop and try again. But, you know, everyone behind the scenes has done a massive job to make our chassis a race-winning car, and it is, I would personally say, you know, driven other karts as well, that this is probably the best chassis now on the grid.
Yeah, and it just shows a testament to the team as well, and how well the team has worked together to develop that alongside yourself and, of course, the rest of the drivers. It just shows how well organised and how strict
it definitely hasn't been easy.
Team is. Yeah, no, I can't imagine it was been easy, but yeah, I mean, yeah, building a chassis. I mean, I look at it and it's just a bunch of tubes to me, but you look at it and you know you see there's purpose in the design of this chassis and how it functions and everything like that. So yeah, it's a great testament to you and your team.
The hardest bit for us was building the brand. You know, you can make a kart that's good, but it's about proving it to other people. And obviously we're the UK distributors for the kart, so, you know, it's very hard to get them karts out there with people putting trust in us. So thankfully we've got good customers, you know, people trust us, and now we're starting to prove ourselves, winning championships, the world championships as well. You know, people are starting to realise that you don't have to be on an OTK product to win. You know, there's other karts out there, there's other people that have been working just as hard, if not harder, to ensure that everyone in the team, not just myself, is at the front. And, you know, I think that's important. But like I said, when we're racing up against teams such as Fusion that have got 20-odd drivers, they can try 20-odd different things on every single kart and see what's better and what's not. But for us, it's always, you know, now all the other people like Gabriel, they're getting older, they can feel differences between the kart, but it was more me going out to try develop a kart, but only me. So it took a lot more time to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you're very quick in terms of driving a kart, and especially rear-wheel drive versions of karts. What about front-wheel drive things, though? How are you in a front-wheel drive car side of things?
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Really?
Nothing
really?
you want to tell us about front-wheel drive?
Because you have like, you know, like sort of tried a little bit of car racing over the winter. I say racing. Is that right?
Yeah, we've done a couple of test days.
Yeah.
A couple of test days or a couple of test laps.
What happened at Castle Combe, Caden? What happened? You can speak to us. It's fine.
Yeah, well, you know, my sat-nav ran out. I thought the track went right, and it didn't. It went left. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there just happened to be someone must have put the wall there in the lap before, or I don't know.
Yeah. 2.5 years they spent
because
building
it's
that
funny
car,
that though,
Caden.
because it wasn't there. That wall wasn't there for the 2.5 years while the poor guy was building the car. Was it? It just 4 laps into your first stint. I mean, we've stitched you up here a treat, Caden.
Listen,
thanks to
car's
Stelpy.
now fixed and back. Yeah, so thanks to my dad and his company for that.
Yeah. 2.5 years to build,
very expensive.
4 laps to break. There we go.
Well, do you know the worst bit?
Go on.
You know, we was fast on the day, like
the
really
roof?
fast. No, we was ridiculously fast, and the car owner and the other person that introduced me to him actually wanted to then take me to Nürburgring, even after I'd smashed up his car, you know. But thanks.
Oh, there we go. Well, it just shows differences in front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, isn't there?
Yeah, well, you know, I found that out. Silly me. But anyway, on to bigger and better things.
I mean, yeah, we were joking about a little bit of contact there, but that was on your own. I mean, obviously, you're used to X30 and Rotax, where the rubbings racing, as a phrase.
Yeah.
That's obviously not the case in KZ2. In KZ2, how have you learnt as a driver? Whereas before, you're going into a corner in your X30 or in road tax, think, right, I can just dive at the inside here, and if the person turns, you can't do that. What's that transition or mental transition been like?
Do you know what? The racing side of things is so much harder work. You can put a lap in, and that's no issue. To be consistent is another thing, but the racing side of things is extremely hard because what feels like a massive lunge in an X30 or a senior, that's nothing compared to KZ, because you got your front brakes, which is also a massive help. However, with a KZ kart, you're always trying to shorten the track as much as possible, so you're almost really narrow going into every single corner. You V off the corner to ensure you're straight for the exit, but in the racing terms of things, it's not like you can get a switchback and come out the corner a lot better unless they make a mistake and get the wrong gear or something like that. But the racing side of things is very, very challenging because it's all so close and at a lot of speed. It's very fast, so you've got to think about everything so much faster. And the overtakes is there's a small room, but you've got to make it happen without any contact.
Well, I think that's the same for any class, really, isn't it? You got to go down the inside without any contact.
Well, I think you just going that little bit, going that bit faster in a KZ2, and there's that much more.
And you're always narrow.
Velocity.
It's like you see people defending in an X30 or a Rotax, but that's kind of the racing line in some senses in the KZ. You're always narrow, so that's what I mean. Like the gap is so much smaller, and you think the racing in an X30 or a senior Rotax, when they are defending, makes it virtually impossible to overtake. So can you imagine that as a normal racing line? It makes it incredibly hard.
I can only imagine. Well, the first round of the British Champs is coming up, this weekend. Caden, I'm sure we'll see you there. I think we're pretty much out of time now, which is a huge shame because I just wanted to quickly ask, before anything, One Superkart Club 2019, again, I've been told these many stories. What happened where you were potentially, coming together with Mr. Dan Stilp, the man next to you in the other room, and involving a Christmas tree? What happened there?
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about? No, that's fine. We'll leave it there. It's fine.
I tripped.
You tripped. Okay, you tripped
into Dan.
Dan fell into a tree. Tree fell on other people.
Tripped into a load of people that were sat minding their business.
Yeah.
It is a serious sport, but sometimes you've got to have that bit of fun. That's the important bit. You've got to enjoy it, and sometimes that means having a bit of a laugh with your manager.
Excellent. I'm sure he appreciated it. Well, we definitely appreciate you giving your time to us, Caden McQueen. Thank you so much. Best of luck this season, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Cheers,
See you guys soon.
Cheers.
Ta-ra.
Well, it was great chatting to Caden McQueen just then. And, of course, Caden McQueen will be racing in the British Champs season this year, of course, win the KZ2 class. And KZ2 are kick-starting their season this weekend at Shenington alongside the Miami Series and the TKM Series. Henry, I'm very much looking forward to this round at Shenington because, well, it feels like it's been an eternity since we were commentating on karting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, PFI last October is a long time ago. It's Easter is here. The sun is shining. The evenings are getting longer. So it's about time that the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships got underway. Shenington, classic venue. I think it hosted the opening round of the X30, TKM and KZ2 classes last year as well. Be a lot of new faces. There'll be some grids, I think, which are going to be bigger than last year. Others that may be not quite as big. But, I mean, it's going to be a fantastic weekend of racing nonetheless. Of course, you can watch it all on Alpha Live, and you can, with myself and Anthony Jordan. It'll be great. It
will be good, won't it, Henry? I'm very much looking forward to it. And yeah, Shenington, it is a wicked circuit, is Shenington. It looks like a simple circuit, but it's not actually that simple. In a way, it does remind me of PFI slightly. And let me justify what I'm saying there. Just the long straights, hairpins, chicanes sort of thing. It's got fundamental similarities, I think.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about Shenington is that it can be. It looks at you. You've got lots of straights. So overtaking, in some respects, can be quite easy, but then in others, it's very difficult because. And this is down to how the championship enforces the rulings. You can defend the white lines from early doors at Shenington, and they shalt not pass. So it's a question of when the drivers are allowed to defend. It is a power circuit, so you'll expect those with lots of waft to be at the forefront. But I mean, in IAMI Cadet, it's like PFI here. It's a perfect way for the IAMIs to draft and slipstream and have a big bunch racing, which is good. It can be a little bit fraught. And I know that we're going to have lots of new drivers sort of competing for the wins. I mean, in IAMI Cadet, I think, obviously Zach Drummond and Lewis Ware or Noah Wolf have moved up. But we've got Henry Domain back, who finished fifth in last year's championship. We've got the old plate winner, George Edgar, who won at Shenington in last year's round of the British Championships. Kit Bolofsky, top 10 last year, is coming off a big win at the Little Green Man event at Lark Hall just recently. He'll be one to look out for as well, along with the likes of Jacob Ashcroft, Jesse Phillips, and Noah Baglin, who we all saw as well. So there's plenty of talking points, and again, it's going to be another great Fusion versus Ollie Roller Motorsports battle in Cadet. Can't wait to see that kick off.
Yeah, definitely. They always gave us a good little scrap, didn't they? And, that's the fundamental thing with the IAMI series as well. Yeah, big one, main competitor for Rotax, but Rotax doing really well. Same with IAMI. They're both battling it out well out there in the karting world. But, yeah, I think the Mini X30 numbers for this one, I think, are looking a little bit lower than what we were really hoping them to be. But there's still plenty of races in it, and they're still going to give some fantastic action out there. I know a couple of new drivers who are coming into it from the club scenes. I think Riley Bishop being one of them. He's joining into the first round. No, I know definitely at Shenington. Him and his dad Paul have done amazing work with himself.
It's worth pointing out, Anthony, that we haven't been given entry lists yet.
No, we don't. So we don't have an entry list.
No, so we don't know who's going to be there exactly. No. But I mean, that this.
I know that there's a couple of drivers who are racing in it. But in terms of full numbers, we have no idea actually who's entering it. By the time this is out, they could be released. Well, you would have hoped they'd be released because they're racing this weekend. So, but at the time of filming, we don't have the entry list yet, so we cannot confirm nor deny what the numbers are. But yeah, I know that the fact.
I mean, is it worth pointing out as well, Anthony? Sorry, the last 2 years of Mini X30, the last 2 years, they've been two great head-to-head title battles. Vinnie Phillips against Leo Robinson in 2020. 2021, Leo Robinson versus Macaulay Bishop. It's always been two drivers going head-to-head for the title, and it's all boiled down to the last minute. So they're going to have two new contenders, or many new contenders this year, because Leo and Macaulay have both moved up to Junior X30. So, like you said, who's going to fill that gap? And you said there's potentially a young privateer driver.
Well, yeah. So, like I was saying, Riley Bishop, he's coming into it. He's dominated the club karting scene in Mini X30. He dominated at Wilton Mill Kart Club in the IAMI cadet class when he was younger. He moved up to Mini X30 and he continued that winning streak. And, going into it, I was speaking to his dad not long ago, and he's saying that, they're going into the British. They're not doing the whole British, but they want to see what he can do at Shenington against the other British drivers. Because, like you're saying, he's going into club weekends and he's winning by 13 seconds, and he just wants to see what he can do on the British scene. He wants that challenge, and it'll be really curious to see what he can do, because he's going to be, essentially he will be classed as a rookie in the British Champs, I believe, won't he? If he comes in like that, because it's his first season, he will be.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I wasn't just guessing at that. He is, so he will be classed as a rookie. But I can tell you now, he's not a rookie, because he's raced at Shenington in the Kart Club weekends as well, and he has been on the pace there as well. So he's definitely one to keep an eye out. Is Riley Bishop? So that'll be one to keep an eye out.
Yeah, indeed. We know we're going to have a new champion in Junior X30 because Dan Ginshard has now made the move to British Formula 4 with Mercedes and the Mercedes Junior team. I mean, like I said, Macaulay Bishop and Leo Robinson, they move their battle from Mini X30 last year to Junior X30 this year. Both have been doing very well in the European scene so far. Macaulay had a great win at the start of the year in one of the IAMI X30 Euro Series, and Leo Robinson's been very, very close as well. So that's going to be a great one to watch. And of course, the Junior X30 field is going to be absolutely packed. I mean, just looking at, the biggest domestic Junior X30 race we've had so far has been the opening round of Little Green Man. Jack Nettleship beat both Macaulay and Leo in that one. Driver that neither of us are too familiar, but hopefully maybe a wild card there. Nettleship is going to be, going to be up there as well. I mean, Harry Burgoyne Jr., you've got, who's been a race winner at this level. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, Rylan Ashberg, Fred Green moving up there. So there's going to be Gabriel Stilp as well. I mean, last year's junior X30 IARMI International champion at Le Mans, Gabriel Stilp for the Croc Promotions team. Fantastically packed field full of talent in junior X30, no matter how many of them turn up.
Yeah, exactly. We could waffle on all day about IAMI, but don't forget TKM are going to be there as well as KZ2. Yep. So there are plenty more drivers in that to talk about. And of course, Caden McQueen, who joined us on the show as well earlier on. He's going to be racing in KZ2 this year. He's not done as much testing as I think he would like to do this year, but he's jumped into that KZ2 kart. And he's shown great potential, and that's fantastic. Speaking to Dan Stilp earlier on, he was saying that, Caden has really shown great skill and potential, because there are so... Driving a KZ2 compared to a normal senior X30 or anything like that, or senior Rotax, it's a completely different kettle of fish. You've got adjusting brake bias, you've got gears, you've got all sorts to deal with, revs, and it's just, it's a totally different kettle of fish, and it's not something you can easily just jump into, is it, KZ2?
Yeah, I mean, if there's one class this year that I think is going to be surprising most of us, is going to be KZ2. The TKM classes always provide fantastic entertainment, very close title battles, and there's some real good talent in both those divisions. KZ2, we're seeing more and more drivers go from direct drive into KZ2. Caden is the most recent one of them. You've also got the likes of Tom Adams moving over, former double English Rotax champion. You've got Charlie Turner, Bradley Barrett, who going into their second season in KZ2. I did see one of the Team Clay Racing drivers who's gone out of Rotax into KZ2. He's going to have a go as well. And then you've got the likes of the experience hands, Ryan Cannon, the champion. Then you've got Tom Longfield, Miles Murphy is going to be an ever-present there. I'm not sure if Joe Charlton's going to be racing or not, but I mean, KZ2, the numbers are going to increase, and it's going to be a very, very, very exciting season.
It's going to be an electric season, isn't it? And then finally, TKM Series as well. Obviously, Junior TKM last year, Alfie Garford took the win on that one. TKM Extreme, James Pashley as well. Again, I don't know if they're going to be back in TKM this year. It would be a big shame to not see them back. Do you know much about that?
Well, I mean, I think that Garford and Alistair Cresswell, I think they're going to be moving over to X30. I know one of them definitely is.
Okay.
James Pashley's died in the wool TKM driver, but I'm not quite sure. Did he say that he was moving to X30 as well? Whoever is in that class is going to be extremely competitive.
Yeah.
We know that much. And of course, the TKM Extremes. The privateer drivers have won the last couple of British Championships. There's a real chance for a privateer driver to do again, but there are some great teams. Tim Wilson Motorsport's going to have a strong team. Klassen Motorsport, they're going to have a strong team. Obviously, the Talco drivers are going to be strong. It's just a question of, we don't know who's going to turn up until the opening round. But again, for IARMI type racing at Shennington, you just look at TKM, same thing.
Yeah.
Nose to tail. There will be, like trains slipstreaming. It's going to be very, very exciting.
It's going to be a wicked weekend. Ladies and gents, make sure you don't miss it out. You can catch it all on the Alpha Live YouTube channel coming up this weekend, the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. I'm looking forward to it. We'll leave it there, I think. Let's move on to the new segment of the podcast then. And, well, it's Henry. It's hard to beat around the bush on this one, and we've got to address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the FIA Karting European Championships and what happened at Portimao. Artem Shrevenkin there. What can you say? What can you say about a situation like that?
Well, I mean, that's for those of you that have been living under a rock. Artem Shrevenkin won the OK senior class at Portimao at the first round of the European Championships, and on the podium he made a fascist gesture that some people have linked to Nazism, and whatever gesture it was a gesture showing support for Russia, which is against the rules in the current FIA ruling because of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine at the moment. Now, I've got a problem with several parts of this, and I'll be as brief as I can. Whether you agree with having Russian drivers or Belarusian drivers competing at all is by the by. The FIA's rules are quite clear. They're not allowed to represent Russia like any athletes, or in all different sports. They either they compete as neutrals. But in karting, several drivers have gained Italian licenses. So Artem and the junior, the OK Junior winner, Dmitry Matveev, they're both racing under Italian licenses. And it was during the Italian national anthem that Artem made his gesture and then started laughing about it with unseen persons watching the presentation. That goes against the FIA rules. They haven't decided whether or not they're going to exclude Artem or not. Ward Racing, the team that he was participating for, have issued a strongly worded statement. They've sacked him.
Yeah,
they cannot continue with him. And it's one of those things that karting has been on the BBC Sports website, and the last time karting was on the BBC Sports website was when Luca Corberi decided to launch his nose cone. And it seems as though that the only time karting appears in the mainstream news media is when karting doesn't do itself any favours. The person that I feel sorry for most of all is a young OK Junior driver, Alexander Bondarev. He's the only Ukrainian driver at the moment competing at world level karting, and he's obviously got a lot of support, and just to see that happening must have been terrible for Alexander and his family. So my thoughts are obviously with him, and hopefully the FIA, who are doing a very sort of they've removed the footage. So you can't watch the final. They removed the footage. They're removing various posts on social media. They are investigating it. In the FIA rule books, there is a specific regulation saying that any action or any flag or any action or any gesture deemed against the ruling and against the code of ethics of sport concerning Russia, there is a penalty. It doesn't say what penalty there is. I think that the FIA will have no choice but to exclude him from the race.
I mean,
which is he's a senior driver, but he's only 15. However, that's irrelevant in my eyes.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant. And we can go into a whole discussion of whether he should be racing under an Italian license or whether they should be racing at all. Whether the team should be employing him. That's a discussion for another time. Everyone's got opinions on that. But for this, I think it was an utter disgrace, and it's a shame for karting.
It is a shame for karting, because you took the words out of my mouth there quite clearly when you said that the only time karting makes it into the mainstream media is when something goes wrong and not when something goes right. Because when you think back, we've had double karting champions in one season, unheard of, unprecedented, doesn't even get made news, public, anything like that. But as soon as someone does something silly and something that they shouldn't do, it's plastered everywhere. Like you say, like Luca Corberi and like this incident here with Artem, it does seem to be highly unfair to the whole karting community, I feel, having something like this happen. And, especially on the world stage as well, the FIA karting stage, it's not a place to do it. And, I just feel, I think it's let everything down in the karting world, I think.
Absolutely. And that's something that Mr. Sevyukin is going to have to deal with in his own way, in his own time. But it is a huge shame, and I think there's a lot of eyes now looking at the FIA and the CIK and the organisers of the FIA European Championships to see, why was he allowed to be racing under an Italian licence? I think the Italian Federation has got a lot to answer for. As well, the teams, the teams obviously are taking these drivers' money to allow them to race. Whether another team have issued a strongly worded statement and they've sacked him. But should they have hired him in the first place? Should they have taken his money? There are other drivers that are racing, that are Russian drivers that are racing with no flag, which is what they're supposed to do. Whether that's what a lot of. I mean, you look at tennis and you look at other sports, and the Russian athletes, they're competing under the neutral flag, under no flag whatsoever. Why did these drivers decide they had to get an Italian flag and race? Which to me is it's a real shame. I can't wait for the day that they look at some of the Alpha's footage of some of the British Championship or the other events that we stream to show some of the fantastic racing that is karting and that all the good that the sport can bring out.
Yeah, definitely. Pure racing, pure drivers, and that's what we like to see, and that's the main thing that karting is all about. You know, it's not a political platform for people. It is to race, and it's to see where they can achieve and where they can build their careers and where they see themselves in, you know, those 10, 15 years when they're older and they're racing in Formula divisions and all of that. So, yeah, we so look forward to them, and we wish all those drivers the best. But it's, it's like we say, it's a very fluid situation at the moment, and I'm sure the FIA are looking into it quite strictly, and we'll have to see what happens when that comes out. Of course, by the time this gets broadcast, we might have an answer to this issue.
So.
We do hope so. So hopefully they're going to be working on that one. But we'll brush away from that one. We'll come back to more British karting side of things in terms of news and. Tyres is a big one. Tyres is a fundamental thing of racing. Everyone needs them.
Yes.
But there's a bit of a shortage going on, isn't there?
There's particularly Mojo tyres. So Mojo tyres used by the Rotax classes. Now this year, Rotax has seen an explosion of numbers. Huge Rotax entries. Now Jag Rotax have issued a statement saying that, unfortunately, due to several reasons, due to the current situation in Russia and Ukraine, due to the material supply, material shortage, and of course you've got the other thing, you've got Brexit, you've got COVID, you've got all these things, all these reasons coming together. Jag can only supply Mojo tyres to competitors in the in the Motorsport UK British Championships. And they've said that unfortunately this time there's simply not enough Mojo tyres to go round. It's a problem that is happening all over the karting world with various different karting tyre manufacturers. So championships running Rotax classes that aren't the Motorsport UK British Championships, they're being forced to look elsewhere and take on other tyre brands. I think UKC are going to Comets. You've got Maxis, which a lot of people are looking to use. It's not an ideal situation. We don't know how long it's going to carry on for. It's unfortunate. But tyre supply issues have been a problem for the last couple of years.
Yeah, they have been, haven't they?
Prices are going up, and everyone's pick your poison. What are you going to blame? Are you going to blame Brexit? Are you going to blame COVID? Are you now going to blame the war? Are you now going to blame not enough people well enough to make the tyres? Are you going to you name it? All that the drivers know is that number one, tyre prices are going up. And number two, there's not enough tyres when you want them. And it's a real shame. And unfortunately, again, whichever way you look at it, the drivers are the ones that are suffering. Jag Rotax don't make the tyres. Jag Rotax simply bring the tyres in. They can't get enough tyres from Mojo. So that's a shame. So for people in the British Championship, you're okay. If you're in Rotax, you've got Mojo tyres for the season. If you are in the National Kart Cup, the UKC, club events, other things like that, then you are being asked to look elsewhere and get different tyres.
And that's going to make it quite a challenge, I think, for the other championships in a way, because you think because everyone's going to have to be on the same tyre, aren't they? They're all going to have to be on the same tyre. When they're racing out, you can't have one Rotax on Max's, one on Comet, and you can't do that. So they're all going to have to find one, and they're all going to have to be happy with it. So it's a really
and no one's going to be happy
with
it because and no one's going to be happy with whatever solution. No. So for championship organisers, it is a real nightmare. Hopefully the problem will be solved during the course of the season. We'll have to wait and see. But that's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame, but that's what again. Light and breezy news this time around, wasn't it? There you go. Light and breezy news. But hey, it is what it is. The seasons are starting up soon as well, and F1's going well so far. They're going into their fourth round of the season, coming up in Imola with the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and that's going to be an exciting one. Have you updated your fantasy league as well, Henry?
Yes, I'm glad you brought it. So Alpha Live have got a fantasy Formula 1 league, and I am currently P2.
How has that happened? I'm P11. How is this? How is this?
How has it happened? Because I am the beard of knowledge, as you know. My knowledge of all things motorsport is unparalleled in this room, anyway. Yeah. And you say you're surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm only surprised I'm only second.
It's irritating.
Now, this is a public league, so if people want to join...
It is a public league, you can join.
and humiliate Anthony even more,
Mm.
then I think there's going to be a login details in the description of this podcast.
I think so. Yeah, if you're watching the video version of this, on YouTube, in the description below is the link to the Alpha Life Fantasy League, so you can join it. You can race against myself and Henry. And when I say race against myself and Henry, you'll demolish me and you'll race against Henry because I haven't got I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. This is my first fantasy league I've been a part of, Henry. I have to say I am a virgin to this.
You say you clearly don't know what you're doing. Life imitates art. That's all I can say.
Thanks for that. Anyway, we'll move on anyway, because coming up next in the podcast, we'll be talking to Rob Stubbs and the Superkart Championships. Let's move on to our next segment then. We've gone from karting to superkarts, and we're joined by Rob Stubbs, one of the superkart drivers in the British Superkart Super Series, joining us. Rob, how are we?
I'm very well, thank you, Anthony. Great to be here.
Excellent stuff. We were supposed to have Gary James and Simon Steele with us, but unfortunately, they need to put 50p into meter for router. And unfortunately, their internet wasn't working too well, and they couldn't join us, unfortunately, which is a big, big shame. But hopefully we'll hear from them a little bit later on with a couple of statements. Now, Rob, you're racing Division 1 this year in the British Superkart Super Series Championship, running the number 20, I believe. Am I right in saying that, or am I completely wrong?
Yeah, we've made the step up to the Division 1 Superkarts this year. We were previously running the 250 Nationals, so this is the first year that I've ever actually raced the Division 1 Superkarts, and crikey, it really is a big step up. Yeah, we've run the number 20 for my whole sort of racing, don't want to use the word career, but sort of racing stint that I've done, and I just didn't want to change it this year, so I'm not going to say it's my lucky number, but it's a number that I've always stuck with, so yeah.
You can definitely say career. You can say career. It's fine. You're a racing driver, Rob. You're a racing driver, Rob.
Career, there you go. My non-funded career. There you go.
Your non-funded career.
Self-funded career.
Self-funded.
Is the
Self-funded,
other word.
there you go.
Yeah.
Painfully funded, yeah.
I mean, just for those people that may not be aware of superkart, I mean, the Division 1 superkarts, they are the granddaddies of them all. They're the ones with a full aero body kit. They're the fastest karts that you can get anywhere in the world. Is that right?
They really are, yeah. So they're the premier class of superkarts, and nothing really comes close. I mean, I thought I was going to be quite well prepared going from a 250 single right through to the Division 1 Superkart, and even then the jump was absolutely massive. You've got two 125 cylinders and in one engine essentially, and they're kicking out about 100 horsepower, and the power to weight ratio is just phenomenal. So the 0 to 60 times, you're looking around the 2-second mark. You've got a 6-speed sequential gearbox, and they like you say, Henry, they've got full aerodynamic bodywork as well. So you do wing adjustments, nose cone adjustments. So if any of your audience are from the short circuit, that's probably one of the biggest differences, is that we're changing a lot of the aerodynamics on the car as well.
Like that to me it just sounds insane, because you think of it, how close you are to the ground. Like karting in general, just normal short circuit karting, they're terrifying still. You're going at such high speed still, especially in the KZ2 era, because they can top out at well over 100 mile an hour still at short circuits, just about. So when you put that factor into a massive circuit, and like Silverstone, Alton Park, things like that, and you're still going 140 odd miles an hour, but still an inch from the ground. Terrifying, really. I think it falls down to. I can't think of a better word other than no.
Yeah, a lot of people do ask me, how does it feel to drive a supercar? And it's actually probably one of the hardest questions to answer, because if you're telling someone that you're 1 inch off the ground doing between 140 and 150 miles per hour down the back straight, monstrously quick speeds, it's really difficult to describe what that feels like. I think one of the words that I described it is, it felt like warp speed when I first had a go. It just felt like everything around me was flying past me so quickly. So it really is an adrenaline-filled monster to drive. It's very difficult to describe it.
Yeah, Henry knows a lot about tunnel vision with the amount of iron brew he gets through in a commentary weekend. But yeah, you get about tunnel vision with that as well, don't you, Henry?
I mean, yeah, and I'm sure, like I do, you see stars and things like that at your peripheral vision. So, I mean, just for those of the Alpha viewers that are familiar with what we cover, myself and Anthony, normally, the short circuit karting. So, in the British Kart Championships, the fastest karts that we have in short circuits is the KZ2, the gearbox karts. Now, in superkart racing, they're known as the 125s, the 125 Opens. So they're the slowest class in superkart racing. You've got a 450 four-stroke class. Then you've got a 250 class, which is what you, Rob, were racing in last year. And then you step up to Division 1. So there's 4 steps of gearbox karting. The 125, the KZ2s that we normally cover, are the slowest of those 4, effectively.
Which is mental, because they're the fastest on the short circuits.
And I think you were saying, Rob, I mean, so this year you're going to be, I mean, you've raced at Silverstone already on the GP circuit, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. You've got Cadwell Park, the Snetterton 300 circuit, Anglesey, and then the last round of your championship, the British Superkart Super Series, is the Alton Park International. Now, you were saying something about the lap record at Alton Park International. Well, not the lap record, but a Porsche GT3 Cup car going around Alton Park International was one time, and then the Division 1 Superkart was...
That's correct, yeah. So Sam Moss set the lap record at Alton Park last year in the Division 1, and he was like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like between 10 and 14 seconds a lap quicker than the Porsche. And it was just like, that's no slouch of a car. So if he's doing those sort of lap times, it really, sometimes you have to explain that to someone for them to grasp the context of how quick a supercar actually is. There's a lot of things out there that may go quicker in a straight line, but when you look at cornering
not
speeds,
really.
braking... You what? Sorry.
No, there are not many things that go quicker in a straight line than Division 1 supercars.
Well, we're talking supercars in a straight line, but like you say, when you're going around a track, to a degree, straight line speed becomes certainly not the most important factor. You look at braking, you look at cornering speeds. Even when we brake in a supercar, on a test day, you sort of compare yourself to, where's that Hurricane braking? We're so far much later than like your supercars, your GT3 cars. And it's like we were saying earlier, Henry, around Cadwell. Supercars are quicker than the British superbikes. So it's a phenomenal concept to get your head around. A kart can actually go that quick, and if you don't know about supercars, then you can't really imagine what that could be like. But yeah, so it's crazy.
You talk about obviously looking at the braking zones, and I mean, when I ever go to a racetrack, and you look at you play a racing game or something like that, and you think, I'm flat out round that corner in a game, and then you see a Hurricane going into it, and they're braking 500 yards before the corner. You think, why is he braking so early? But then in a supercar, because of the power to weight ratio that you have, you can brake so much later, and you can chuck it in. You can carry so much through the speed through the corners. Yeah, it is a massive fundamental. They're like mini F1 cars. Let's put it that way. They're mini F1 cars. You're going around at breakneck speeds. It's in a crazy little format, and it baffles me that it isn't as popular as it should be.
No. I think sometimes we touched on it earlier. I think almost one of the biggest downfalls of superkarting is the word that it has kart in the name.
Yeah.
Because when you're explaining it to someone, they hear the word kart and then they immediately associate it with, you go-karting.
Yeah.
And actually,
I hate that. Go-kart. When people say go-karting to me, I went,
that's it. You've triggered us.
It's almost rude, but yeah, it's and then once you show them some videos, some pictures, and you explain what it is and the speeds that you're capable of, then they you can see them sort of understanding and realizing, it's quite a funny realization face that you see. Sort of their face drops and it's like, wow, I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah, you can offer them, you want to have a go? You can do one corner and then you'll probably cry. So it's, you can have a go if you really want to. But yeah, you can't understand about how quick this is. But a good way of understanding of how quick they are is you can head to YouTube and you can go to Rob Stubbs' YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, because you've got lots of videos on there of how quick you go. And I'm going to play it just on my little computer screen on here of one of your videos, Rob. But Superkart Division 1 at Silverstone. Your title says started 10th, finished 8 out of 50 of them. 50 karts, and nobody knows anything about superkarts. It's like there are 50 karts out there and no one knows a thing about them.
No, that was at the Silverstone GP circuit, wasn't it?
It was the full GP circuit, yeah. So for me, that was like one of the bucket list things for me, to race around where the F1 actually race. I've done the national circuit before, but I've always kind of like, I really want to do the GP circuit. So doing that in a Division 1 superkart for me was a bucket list thing for sure.
And was the first thing you did when you got out with check the Grand Prix lap times from the Formula One and compare them against yours in Division 1 superkart?
I think it's a little bit quicker.
That's the ultimate comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, we're quite a bit off the F1 times, but then what I spend to what an F1 budget spends, I'm pretty happy with where we're coming in at.
Well, exactly. That's the whole point. There aren't many championships that race to the full. Obviously you've got Formula One, you've got the GP2, I think GP3, possibly sports cars do the full international circuit. But I mean, and then you guys.
Yeah.
We follow your budget against theirs is incredible.
I know, and we're quite fortunate in that we follow the British Kart Championship as well. So there's a couple of really quick, Ferraris, Hurricanes out there that have been kitted out, and we were lapping 3 or 4 seconds a lap quicker on the GP circuit than them. So it really does, again, shows you the speeds that these are capable of. I think one of the biggest differences from your regular audience is, from the short circuit, they will actually be quite familiar with the 6 gears that they're used to on the short circuit. So 1 back, 5 forward. It's the exact same for the Division 1. And it's the same sort of rev range as well. So you're sort of changing up 13.7 to 14,000.
I'm watching it right now. He's bang on with them numbers. I'm watching it now. He's changing gears up there, 13.7.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of similarities. So if people are quite worried about making that jump, I'm pretty sure that they'd feel quite comfortable going from a short circuit to a long circuit. There's a lot of similarities there. I think the biggest thing is just, like I say, the aero and some of the straight line speeds. But I'm pretty sure they'd feel comfortable getting straight into the car.
Talk to me, Rob, a little bit about the sort of protective equipment that you guys are running, because obviously in a short circuit kart, they would have, like a karting suit. It'd be an abrasive thing. It wouldn't be fireproof in karting. It's only when you go to motorsport, into car racing, that's where you got to have your fireproof suits. I'm seeing you going around in what looks to be a leather one-piece race suit, bike suit.
Yeah, we do. We have to wear the very attractive-looking leathers. As we do, us male racers and female as well, actually. But yeah, we wear leathers because if we are getting thrown out of the superkart, then ultimately the speeds we're going at, we need to be protected like a motorbike race, motorcyclist. So those leathers are a step up in terms of protection for us. If you compare it to F1 where they've got the halo above their heads, if the car was to flip, then their head's protected, whereas in a supercar, if it flips, we're going to get crushed. So as weird as it may seem, the best option for us is to get thrown out.
No, but like I say, I'm watching this lap here around Silverstone GP, and I mean, you're flying around the circuit, and talking about speed, you're going into the braking zone at Stowe Corner at 130 miles an hour. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like you say, you don't have seatbelts either. You've got no seatbelts, you've got no hands device or anything like that, and you're going at these speeds. To say that they're absolutely, I've used the word terrifying several times in this section so far, but I can't, it is terrifying.
It is. It's one of them where we do it because we get the adrenaline from it. It's probably, I think my mum and dad, as a kid, wish I'd taken up darts. It's not as, it's certainly not as on the edge. But that's why we do it. We love the adrenaline. We love the speeds. We love to push and to the limit. And there's always a risk with any form of motorsport, but everyone's really respectful. We appreciate the speeds that we're going at, and they have side bumpers and front bumpers and things like that. So, it's always very respectful, and we very rarely see any bad incidences. So, I certainly feel confident that it's a safe arena to race in.
Henry, any last comments before we have to go? Because we're nearly at our 15-minute deadline.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, so, obviously, first season in Division 1, 2 for 5 rounds, Silverstone you've done, Cadwell, Snetterton, Anglesey and Alton. What's the goal for the year for you?
The goal, personally for me, Silverstone was a big learning curve for me, just trying to understand the car, big step up in terms of the engine and everything else. I think now I want to start pushing on to the top 5. If I could try and get a top 5 in the championship this year, that would be, for me, an absolute win for me personally. So that's my personal objective as well, Henry, yeah.
Perfect.
It would be good as well, guys, just to say that, if anyone is considering having a go in a supercar, there is a test centre at Darley Moor Circuit in Ashbourne, and there's a bloke there called Terry Bateman. If you go on Google,
I was about to say, Terry up at Darley Moor.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. So if you go on Google and you type in Superkarting UK, you can go on there, and they actually do an arrive and drive. So you don't have to go out and purchase one of these. If you just want to have half a day, get a feel for it, see if you enjoy it. It's a 3-mile circuit, so you're going to get the full experience of a longer circuit compared to something like a short circuit. So it's almost like a try before you buy. It's a fantastic thing that Terry does. So I'd urge anyone, if you're interested, give it a go.
Oh, well, I know what I'm doing next weekend.
I think Alpha Live needs to do a feature where myself and Anthony try a supercar, and Rob, you can come be our driver coach and sort of assess.
Yeah, I'll be your driver coach for the day.
There we go. I'm up for that. I'm definitely up for that. That's awesome. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for taking time out your day, Rob, for chatting with us. Best of luck for the rest of the season. And we do wish you all the best, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take it easy. Bye.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for episode 2 of the Alpha Live podcast. A huge thanks to all of our guests, Caden McQueen, Rob Stubbs, and of course yourself, Henry Ribet, for taking time out for having a good old chinwag with us today. Lots of action coming up this weekend on the Alpha Live YouTube channel. We're in 5 different places at the same time. Who could thunk it? We're at Buckmore Park. There are 24 hours coming up this weekend. MS UK, well, Motorsport UK, I should say. We'll slap on the wrist for saying that. But Motorsport UK, they're going to be at Shenington for their first round of the British Kart Championships. Myself and Henry will be there, of course. Bambino Kart Club, they'll be at GYG. Yeah, that's you're famous for that.
That's
yeah.
3.
Teesside Sprints and Wilton Mill Kart
Teesside
Club.
4.
Yeah.
5
different locations.
My cup of karting joy overflows, Anthony.
Yes.
I mean, how about after we do the Saturday stuff at Shenington, how about we hightail it down to Medway, do the overnight shift at the Buckmore Park 24-hour kart race, and then come back up for the racing on Sunday?
I'm all up for that. If you're driving, I'll go for it. Yeah, let's do it.
That's fine. That's not a problem. That's not a problem at all.
Make sure you pay your dart charge, ladies and gents. I forgot to one time. Ended up with a £300 fine. That was... didn't go too well. But yes, huge thanks to you. And again, ladies and gents, who are enjoying what you're seeing here today, please make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know what you want to see in the next episode, or if you want to be a part of the next episode, let us know in the comment section below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Yeah,
but Henry, yes.
Anthony, tell me something. Yes, Anthony.
Yes.
That worked really well.
It did.
Tell the viewers what do they need to do, because I want to do more of these. You want to do more of these. Tell them. I'll give you a slap for going the wrong way. Is that right?
Well,
tell them.
Henry, I just told them. I told them they need to leave a comment. They need to leave a like. They need to share it. They need to get in contact with us if they want to be a part of it. Because of course, if no one likes it, if no one does it, we won't do another one. Again, we said that last time.
That's
we
right.
did another one anyway because we were like, nah, never mind. We'll just do another one. But of course, it's one of the main things. They need to do something at least to let us know.
No problem at all. Can I blow you a kiss? Mwah. There you go.
No. Bye for now.
Thank you.